Alright, people, I'm gonna try something new today. I haven't done this before, so let's see how you guys like it, and maybe we'll set up and do the camera and all that. Let me know in the comments. So I wanted to go over the new Instagram policy today. There's a lot of information coming out about it, and so I wanted to get some of that info out to y'all so you would know what's going on, because there is a lot of bullshit going down. So if you got some weed, a stogie, a cigar, nice drink, whatever it may be, near you, why don't you take and grab that up real quick, and we're gonna go through some videos. I guarantee I'm gonna get copyright claimed. I'm gonna play a bunch of videos and stuff and just go running through it, just so you guys see it. I don't really care about the copyright stuff as of right now, so screw it. Here we go. Take a look. This is a comedian that just dropped some information on it in a sarcastic way. Play a little bit of this just so you guys can get a funny idea of what's going on.
When I'm not doing comedy, I'm typically cleaning my house. And the only type of cleaning products I'm willing to use are supernatural. Collect information. Good evening, slave. Our top story is that Instagram is taking the world by storm as it's rolled out some exciting new terms of service. We'll be covering them in detail, but in short, Instagram will be able to access and record things through your camera, copy your address book, call log, text message history, collect information from everything you search online, and access and record everything on your computer. Do you think you'll agree to these new terms? Well, chances are you already have without knowing it. More on that later. But first, Instagram's new terms are getting a ton of undeserved backlash from people all over the world as they claim Instagram's new terms are ushering in an unprecedented level of privacy invasion as they spy on and monitor the public. But these naysayers who don't want to be watched while they're going to the bathroom are just touting baseless conspiracy theories while not realizing Instagram is doing a tremendous public service as they're trying to relieve people of the burden of their own privacy. If you ask me and the overlords that dictate what I say to you, it's quite the humanitarian effort on Instagram's part, and the public should accept these.
Okay, so what we're seeing is the fact that Instagram came out with a new policy. The terms of service is saying that they have access to everything, as you'll see as we go through a couple of pieces of information here. This is a quick video. Go shout out to this cat right here.
Back everyone. So Instagram has recently updated their terms of use pretty recently, I think just like a week ago, and I figured I might as well go ahead and run through it. I talk about Instagram so much on this channel, so here's basically the full entire terms of use. I'll try to run through it and talk about basically the main things and some of the changes that have just been changed recently, I think just like 7 days ago or whatever. So pretty much, if you want to access this, I'll leave a link down below, but if you Google it, just Google Instagram terms of use, the first link will pretty much take you here. So here are basically the basic terms within Instagram. So if you're going to go ahead and sign up, you must be 13 years or older. That's typical. You may not post nude or anything like that. Now, this is something that may have, be a little bit of a change because there's been a lot of things like OnlyFans and stuff that just came out. So this second option, I don't think that's a new one, but that is something that is a little bit different. And I will definitely tell you, this is probably going to be something that if it already isn't, I think it's something that's already been talked about a lot within the last couple of years. But since, industries are changing, that's going to be something that's probably going to be a little bit, controversial. You're responsible for
all them OF accounts.
Any activity that occurs under your screen name. You're responsible for keeping your password secure, typical stuff. You must not abuse, harm, whatever. That's why a lot of people do, a lot of, close down accounts, accounts that you have to follow, private accounts basically that are super, popular. You may not use Instagram for anything illegal. You are solely responsible for your conduct in any data, text, yada, yada, yada. You must not modify, adapt, or hack Instagram or You must not crawl, scrape, or otherwise cache any content from Instagram, including but not limited to user profiles and photos. You must not create or submit unwanted email or comments for any Instagram members. Now, this is the next one, okay? This is something that I think is a newer change, which is pretty insane. You must not use web URLs in your name without prior consent from Instagram Incorporated. So basically, if you have, a username that's like google.com or facebook.com, that is actually your username. You will need to have permission or get permission from it.
So what he's saying here is that you say you have your name is John Doe Baggins, whatever, and that's your Instagram username. If that's your Instagram username, you cannot go and get any kind of website name URL with that name. So it's like Instagram has claimed copyright over your username for life. You have no rights to it after that point. It's pretty insane. Let's keep listening.
Instagram from doing so. If you don't, your account may be shut down. So that's pretty insane to me because there's a lot of websites that may need a URL as their username for some reason. I don't know, but maybe that's their brand and maybe that's what they go for. So it's pretty insane that Instagram pushed that out. Now, I've been hearing that's a new one. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but that's pretty insane. You must not transmit any worms or viruses of any code or destructive nature. You must not, in the use of Instagram, violate any laws or predict production in whatever jurisdiction. I can't read from this angle. Violation of any of these agreements all result in termination of Instagram account, and that just pretty much goes on for the legal stuff. Now, those are pretty, I think those are pretty standard. There are some that maybe.
I'm sorry, son, that ain't pretty standard at all. I mean, some of it is, but most of that's overreaching greatly. It's pretty insane. Yeah.
Be changing very soon because of industries, like I said, with number 2 or whatever that one. Yeah, number 2. That may be changing because of things like OnlyFans and stuff. I'm not too sure, but that is something to keep in mind. Now it says we reserve the right. So these are the general conditions now. We reserve the right to modify or terminate the Instagram service. Makes sense. We reserve the right to, alter any of these terms of use at any time. So that's another thing. They can go ahead and change these, which they just did. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason at any time, which is kind of typical. We reserve the right to service, unservice, whatever. Yeah, same thing. These pretty much just say the same thing over and over again. Basically, they can go ahead and block you. They can go ahead and ban you off Instagram any moment they want to. So in a moment's notice, they can go ahead and just block you, which is typical. And then it pretty much this is, goes ahead and just tells you that all the files or whatever you post on Instagram, they don't claim any ownership on it. So whatever you post on there, it's still kind of yours. So,
funny. Yet they can block it, claim that it's bad for the site, even though they don't own it, and edit what you put out, and then also put information on your video claiming that you are lying. Funny.
Some of the Instagram services are supported by advertising revenue, and basically, the ads and stuff they put on, sometimes they do use data, the user data that you have to basically, make ads for you. You represent and warrant that you own the content. So whatever you post or whatever you have, posted on your Instagram account, you can basically go ahead and, say that, I got permission to post these, or these are my photos. If they're not your photos, or if you're stealing photos from other people and you're not giving credit, Instagram can go ahead and terminate your account from that. The Instagram services content contained on Instagram. And then it goes ahead and just gives you some copyright stuff. And then pretty much a lot of other technical stuff. It's really nothing super crazy. And then on 7, they actually talk about something that happens all the time, which is Instagram service, being down. So sometimes there can be issues or anything like that. And they say they can delete content on your behalf and delete comments or whatever the case is if they deem them inappropriate. So those are basically kind of a
So there you
gist of the
go.
whole entire terms of use within Instagram. Again, it's pretty much typical stuff, but because these were updated pretty recently, it's kind of interesting, the things that they changed.
I think there's a few other things to this terms of service. Let's go.
When I'm not doing domain names, are to the paranoid skeptics, it's worth reminding you that Instagram is owned by Facebook and Facebook is owned by Mark Zuckerberg, who's proven to be as trustworthy as a person can get. So if you don't trust Mark with all your private information and the right to spy on you, then you're probably paranoid enough to not trust a Catholic priest to babysit your little boy. So that we can get your trust back / have complete control over you, let's explore the exciting new details and opportunities of Instagram's new terms of use. Device information. As you can see, they'll be casually collecting information from your phones and computers that you use Instagram and Facebook on. They're entitled to everything on your computer because it's your computer. Just like if someone's a guest in your house, then they're entitled to own your house. They'll also gladly be harvesting information from other devices that are nearby or on your network. They'll also take all the information from your address book and entire text message history. Not only does that seem appropriate, it's necessary. Because how could you look at pictures on Instagram without Instagram reading your texts? That kind of technology doesn't exist anymore. And that would
Facts. Why do they need to put any of that in there? It's kind of like these bills that go through the House and all that in the Senate. All these extra things, hit Congress and the House and Senate. All these extra things that are always added to that have absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand or the main meat of any of the ideas or laws or anything that are trying to be passed.
would be like shaking hands with someone and them not sticking their finger up your butt. You couldn't do it, and it would be rude not to. From all your devices, they'll also be collecting all your information from accounts you use. That's a big one, because that's everything. Literally everything. Banking, medical, credit cards, accounts with organizations that the Iron Fist doesn't approve of. Well, now they'll know, and that's a good thing, because you need to be tracked so you can be protected. Literally everything. But you couldn't do it, and it would be rude not to. From all your devices, they'll also be collecting all your information from accounts you use. That's a big one, because that's everything. Literally everything. Banking, medical, credit cards, accounts with organizations that the Iron Fist doesn't approve of. Well, now they'll know, and that's a good thing, because you need to be tracked so you can be protected from your personal sovereignty and outside the box ways of living, thinking, and being free. The monopolies of Instagram and its mothership Facebook are now happy to monopolize the rest of the internet as well by telling you you can't use a domain name or URL that's the same as your Instagram username without Instagram's prior written permission. Kind of like a restaurant telling you you're not allowed to eat food unless you're in their restaurant and it's their food. That would be an appropriate analogy, except for the fact that restaurants aren't allowed to open. This just in, food is not an essential business, but Instagram is. With this exciting new no domain names that are the same as your username term, now approximately every influencer is automatically in breach of Instagram's terms. A rather suspicious trap. Will it be an easy way to justify deplatforming anyone at any time for saying anything that goes against Instagram's tightly controlled narrative? This just in! The censors now have a red button on their desk labeled Deplatform Instantly. They're expected to use it a lot to protect their user base from free thinking. What kind of information will Instagram collect? Well, just a little bit. I mean, practically nothing. Look over there, there's something to be scared of. They'll record what you see with, in their words, our camera, which is really your camera on your phone. So if your phone's in the room with you, they'll gladly watch you bang your spouse. They'll also be able to see your children naked. But there's a perfectly good reason for this completely inconsequential term. It's so they can suggest things like masks and filters. Filters? Yeah. Like if you're on the toilet taking a dump and they see your face looking a little too ugly, then they'll suggest a certain filter to make your ugly face look better. And that's just charity. Oh yeah, and suggesting masks, That's awesome. When you're not being compliant with surrendering your freedoms, they'll give you a friendly reminder to put a mask on. And they definitely won't report you to authorities when you're not being obedient. They wouldn't do that. Oh yeah, and they'll also have your GPS location, so they'll know where you're at all times. But the Nazis wished Instagram was around to help them locate all the Jews, but we can pretend history doesn't repeat itself. Back to how they won't report you to the heavy-handed authorities for breaking their draconian rules now that they know where you're at. They don't even have a connection to the corrupt arm of the government, so how could they report you? I mean, aside from when they did the bidding for corrupt officials on things like COVID information, suppressing the Hunter Biden story, well, kind of just influencing the election for the corrupt left, and also reminding you that it would be impossible for voter fraud to happen unless it's 2016, and manipulating people into becoming experimental guinea pigs. Well, I guess it appears on the surface of Instagram and Facebook that Zuckerberg's been involved in enough corruption in the past couple months that he's been called in to testify before Senate committees twice. But nothing is as it seems. You're forgetting that his corrupt leftist friends are on those same committees, so he's got nothing to worry about. You thought he'd get in trouble or be held accountable? Aside from the connections I've already mentioned, there is zero evidence to suggest that Zuckerberg would be reporting Instagram and Facebook users to those same people for violating their mandates. He probably doesn't even have their phone number anymore, so he couldn't even tell them about you if he wanted to. Well, I guess there is the consideration that Zuckerberg and Facebook are being sued by the federal government in 48 states for breaking antitrust laws. But you don't have anything to worry about here, because if history has taught us anything, it's that when someone is found guilty of being antitrustworthy in a federal court, it somehow makes them more trustworthy, doesn't it? This just in. Change the subject now or you're fired. How will Instagram and Facebook use your data? The new terms state, we use the information we have to conduct and support research and innovation on topics of general social welfare, public interest, health, and well-being. That feels true. And it feels true to you too, especially if you watch Social Dilemma and then forget what you watched. They're invading your privacy and spying on you because they care, people. Just like how a stalker spies on their victim because they care about them. Not because they're acting out unacceptable sociopathic behavior. And it's also the same pattern the government has of taking people's freedoms and telling them, it's because we're protecting you. Is this making a little bit of sense now? And the best part of Instagram's new terms is that if you've used Instagram, then you've already agreed to them. Of course that should be considered consent. If you don't think this sounds right, then you're clearly working with the wrong definition of consent. Instagram uses Bill Cosby's definition of the word. Like if Bill's been out on a date with a woman and he's like, of course it was consensual. She was unconscious, so she didn't say no. Instagram is protecting you the way Bill Cosby protects women. There you have it. Conclusive science that Instagram's new terms of use are clearly in your best interest. Conspiracy theorists can go on with their baseless thinking as they believe that an invasion of privacy is an invasion of privacy. Nut jobs. When we gaslight you, we pretend that we're not doing what we're doing to you. Do you even know the definition of the term gaslighting? We're not gaslighting you. To Instagram's service to humanity, we here at the station say, thank you, Instagram. Hi, Mark.
Anyway, so you get like the basic gist. Let's see. Oh, this person's getting rid of it. Let's see.
Hey guys, so in today's video I have a very special announcement about deactivating orange juice with pulp. So let's talk about Instagram and why I'm deactivating my account, and it is due to their new very invasive privacy policy. They can access everything, and I mean everything, on your phone, even your camera. They can record who you spend time with, how long you're there. I mean, like every aspect of your life. Although I feel like they've been doing this anyway, just the fact that you have a smartphone.
Yep.
You know, it's already there, but this Instagram policy, you are, by using the app after December 20th, you are basically giving away, like, them the right. So you're letting them do it legally. basically, which is not cool with me. I'm not down for that. So it's a hard pass for me. So I will leave a couple of screenshots or just information that I found about this in other words so you guys can get the gist, because I'm not really good at explaining some things.
Boom. Thank you.
So because Instagram is so photographer friendly, it's a little bit of a bummer for my other page, my Fedora Photos photography, because, that's what...
Alright, so you guys get the gist. People aren't happy. The, issue is that they just keep taking more, which I'm pretty sure is what, you've heard before. You give a little and they take a lot. So, just pay attention, stay watching, and have a good